Hi, welcome to Powertry Podcast. My name is Jamonia James and I am your host. On this podcast, we learn about life, what it means to be human, and how can we increase our usefulness in this world and in the world to come. To do that today, we are expounding real deep into the creation, learning from creation to find lessons, hints, and innuendos of what it means to be human and how we can be better people than we were yesterday. To do that today, join me today on the Powertry Podcast. Thank you so much, guys. To begin with, I should begin with an apology. I believe you guys did not see any episode last week. That was because there was no episode last week. And so that is what I have to apologize for. Sorry, guys. We are still moving, though. And that episode is today now instead of last week. So it will be quite intense, covering 2 weeks in a way. I know there will still be another episode after that, but this one will be kind of intense as well. We are looking into what it means to be human, and the preliminary thesis or argument that I'm making is that to be like God is what it means to be human, and the supporting evidence I have for that is we were created by God, and so for us to truly be human, or whatever you want to call it, we have to reflect God, because God is the one who has the finest and fullest definition of what it means to be human. We are kind of doing some tautology here, though. We are looking at nature to find hints, looking at the creation story to find evidence, to find meaning, to find lessons of life. What does it mean to be human? How can we maximize our potential? How can we maximize our usefulness in this world and in the world to come? Let there be a firmament is the topic of this episode. Now, first things first, what is a firmament? So a firmament simply means sky. A firmament means heaven. The sky, space, open space. That's what a firmament means. On the second day, the Genesis story states that God created the firmament. How did he make it? It says, and God said, let there be a firmament. He says to divide the waters that were above and the waters that were below. And God created the firmament, and God calls the firmament heaven. That's basically what God did on day number 2. Day number 1, God creates light. I want to point out something that I did not point out in the previous episode regarding light. When God created light, he divided light from darkness. Right there, we see God's principle of separation, or God's principle of division, basically. And I believe we should incorporate that into our lives if our lives are going to be of any good. We need to have that principle of distinction, of knowing good, knowing evil, and being able to separate ourselves from those people that do not benefit us, to be able to separate ourselves from things that do not benefit us. One man said, a friend to all is a friend to none. The principle of separation is seen there. And we also see the same principle of separation in Genesis chapter 1, second day, where God creates a firmament, this space, and divides waters from waters to create a conducive environment for the existence of man. And that's another point worth noting, that all this creation that's happening is happening for the sake of you and me. The reason why we have the atmosphere is just because of you. no matter how small you might think you are in comparison to the atmosphere was created for us and not the other way around. All the gases, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, they are in a perfect balance, and that creates a conducive environment for us. Now, that is the physical reality of the atmosphere. The only atmosphere that supports life, really, in the universe, or at least in the known universe, the only planet that have the perfect combinations of the gases for photosynthesis to happen, for respiration to happen, and all these other crazy processes that we humans go through. To that end, then, medical advice, breathing helps, and making sure that you are in the, this might sound like it's useless, but deep breathing has been proven to have many benefits. Breathing full fresh air helps relieve the body and make sure that you are living to your fullest potential. If you are always in foul air filled with, bad miasma, it will never help you be of, reach your maximum potential. We live in an age where that is disregarded, where we put different fumes and gases and nicotine and all these things into our bodies, which are not conducive for our environment. Well, that was the physical part. Let's touch on the most important part, the spiritual, intellectual application or lessons that we can learn from Let There Be A Firmament. I want to suggest today that you have a different type of firmament, which is, of course, your environment, right? Your physical environment around you is also what is your environment. Now, it has been said that we are the products of our environment, right? In this new example, in this new world, though, it's the other way around. The environment becomes the product of us. So we create our environment. God said, let there be a firmament, and there was a firmament. Believe you me, we have that type of power, or an example, or an imitation of that power in us to create, to say, let there be a firmament, and create a firmament. By the actions that we do, the very presence and our very deportment creates a type of firmament, type of environment around us, which affects other people. So what type of firmament do you have? What type of environment do you create by the things you do and by the things you say? Are you a good environment? Do you create a good environment? Another point I want to mention here at this moment is another level of firmament or atmosphere, which is really the most important one. Your thoughts in a way are your clouds. They usually pop in and pop out without notice sometimes, and the way your thoughts are, the type of thought climate or thought atmosphere that you have is what creates you and makes you to be who you are. So you need to have that regulation of the thoughts that you have. In fact, you need to have a mastery over your thoughts in order to have a fulfilled life and a life of victory. There's so much we can say about thoughts. There's so much we can say about having a good environment and making sure that it's conducive. Whatever environment you choose to be in, you will soon emulate the things in that environment, be it in a physical environment. If you're in an environment that's polluted, you will soon suffer the consequences of that pollution. In the same way, in the physical world, if you are, in the spiritual or intellectual world, if you continuously gather around yourself negative thoughts or misleading ideas, those will clog you up and will prevent you from having a successful life or reaching that potential which you were meant to reach. There's so much we can talk about this, but I am done at this moment. I hope that you guys learned something, and I know you did. You know why I know? Because I did. Thank you so much for joining me. See you next Wednesday. Before you guys go, wait. I need you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel to receive more cool content. And also, if you do not like YouTube, if you do not like this episode on YouTube, if you don't like this podcast on YouTube, you can always find this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or you can actually Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcast. Just type in Powertry and you should be able to receive the power instantly. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.